Saturday's game between the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers is one of, if not the most exciting, most intriguing matchup during this Week 18 slate. It's a big game that's going to impact a lot of playoff situations for a lot of teams in the AFC. So before we dive into who's going to win this game, who's going to cover the spread, let's look at the AFC playoff picture and what happens with a win from each team. So if Houston were to win this game, the Colts eliminate from the playoffs. The Colts have to win out. Houston needs to lose out in order for the Colts to make the playoffs. If Houston wins this game, then that means that they have a real chance at winning the AFC South. They win the AFC South if Jacksonville splits. If they go 1-1 and Houston goes 2-0 in the final two games of the season, the AFC South champions will be the Houston Texans. Then to another step, we'll look at the wild card situation. If Houston wins this game and the Bills lose their game, the Bills will then become the 7th seed, the Chargers will be the 6th seed, and the Texans will be the 5th seed in the wild card. If the Bills were to win their game against Philadelphia, the 5 seed will then be the Buffalo Bills, the 6 seed will be the Houston Texans, and the 7 seed will be the Los Angeles Chargers. If the Chargers were to win this game, wild card scenario, watch out. Crazy stuff can happen in this situation. So if the Chargers win this game, they remain the 5 seed in the wild card. But that sets them up for a AFC West division champion final game between the Broncos and Chargers next week. If the Chargers then beat the Broncos, they win the AFC West and they will have won it with 13 games. And if they do that, then that means the Patriots have a real chance of becoming the 1 seed. They have 12 wins. They play the Jets this week. If they win against the Jets this week, if they win next week, they'll have 14 wins. And a 14-win Patriots team will then jump over that 13-win Chargers team, obviously. Same thing could happen if the Broncos were to lose next week and Houston beat the Chargers. Obviously, the Patriots win out. The Patriots can be that 1 seed, but that game's going to mean a lot to a lot of people next week if the Chargers were to win this week, just because of the Broncos, they can get kicked down into the wild card spot. If the Chargers were to lose this week and have 11 wins, they obviously can't win that division, point blank period, no matter what. So that's kind of that's kind of what's happening. The AFC South champion, regardless of whether it's Jacksonville or the Texans, will not be the number one team. They're not going to be the one seed, I should say. It's not going to happen. So that's what to keep an eye on. That's why this AFC showdown between the Chargers and Houston is much more impactful beyond these two teams, especially for the Indianapolis Colts and Mr. Philip 44 Rivers and his quest to be an old quarterback in the playoffs. Now let's look at the game itself. When you think about this game, it's like, boom, defense. That's the first thought you have. It's wow, this is a defensive showdown. Houston has one of, if not the best defense. They're clearly the top two defense in the NFL between them and Seattle. They have the best defense in the AFC. They allowed the fewest yards per game. They allowed the fewest points per game at 16.6 points per game. The Chargers, they're top 10 in yards allowed per game, top 10 in passing yards allowed per game, top 10 in rushing yards allowed per game, top 10 in points allowed per game, with only 20 points given up per game on average. And so defense is the name of the game, but the reality is it's all about the turnover battle. That's what's going to determine everything. Because when points are hard to come by, turnovers mean that much more. But we'll get to that in a second. So looking at the defensive side of the ball, my first thought is, yeah, the Chargers are going to lose this game because holy cow, their tackles and their offensive line is horrible. They've allowed 51 sacks this season, which is one of the worst in the NFL. And even in their wins, they've won 7 of the last 8 games. Even in their wins, where Herbert's getting mauled, right? The game against Dallas was, I want to say, the first game when they've given up 0 sacks on the year. Against the Chiefs, they won. Herbert was sacked 3 times. Against Eagles, they won. Herbert was sacked 6 or 7 times. Against the Raiders, they won. Herbert was sacked 3 times. Against Jacksonville, they lost a lot, and Herbert was sacked 3 times. Against the Steelers, they won, but Herbert was sacked 6 times. The dude is getting killed out there. Herbert is getting absolutely demolished. And now you throw in Will Anderson, who has 11.5 sacks, and Danielle Hunter, who has 13 sacks. Herbert's going to get absolutely knocked. It's going to be a tough watch. And then it's they like to establish a run, the Chargers do. That's what they're all about. Running the ball. Vidal, Herbert, Hampton, get the ball, run it down their throats. And it's Houston, they don't budge. They have the best rush defense in the NFL, allowing under 100 rush yards per game. So to me, it's yeah, the Chargers aren't going to be doing anything. But then you look on the other side, and it's what's Houston going to be able to do, right? They're playing another tough defense. Their offensive line's shaky. And Nico Collins is a dog, but their running back room is really, really bad with Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, and Jair Jordan. Like, what are they going to do offensively? And that's why the turnover is going to be such that's why turnovers in general, you got to circle that. That's going to be the name of the game when you look at this matchup. Who can hold on to the ball, not turn over the ball? Who can not make those unforced errors? Because if you're, Houston will say, and you're on your own 30 and you throw an interception, the Chargers got 3 points, maybe 7 points off of that turnover now. And points are going to be hard to come by. 7 points is going to be half the points a winning team is going to score. Like the final score could be 14-7. And like that's the reality of this game. It's going to be a defensive battle. But I'm going with the Texans to win this game because they are really good at not turning over the ball. They are great at forcing turnovers as well. So they have a plus 15 turnover to giveaway ratio, which is like I think the second best in the NFL, only behind the Chicago Bears. And the Texans only have 10 turnovers on the year. That's less than one turnover per game. CJ Stroud might take a sack. He might throw the ball away. A running back may go down earlier in the backfield for a short loss, but it's like don't make that mistake and turn over the ball. Don't put the team in a bad situation. Let this defense be the catalyst to winning the game, and it has been for all season. And so I think this method of Houston of just letting the defense do their job is going to pay off in games like this, where points will be hard to come by because they already have a formula of how to not mess up, even when you are going against a talented team defensively in the Chargers, and how to still put up points and hold good teams to low scoring outcomes. So like when they beat the Raiders 23-21. They beat the Cardinals 40-20. That was a showcase of the ages for the offense. They beat the Chiefs 20-10. They beat the Colts 20-16. They beat the Bills 23-19. They beat the Titans 16-13. You get the gist, right? It's like defense is absolutely winning the game, and the Texans aren't making unforced errors. They're not losing the game. And so you can get to this later on in the playoffs. Is that going to be a winning formula? Defense wins championships, so maybe it will be. But when looking at this game specifically, I walk away saying they're not going to turn over the ball. They have a great defense. They're going to win this game. And when it comes to how can you score that touchdown or get, 14, 21 points, how can you do that if you're Houston? And how can the Chargers not do that? Like, why am I so confident in this Houston's offense beyond the defensive aspect? It's because they actually have a playmaker, right? When you look at CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, they're both talented quarterbacks. But what do they have around them? And Nico Collins is he's that X factor to say the least offensively. Whether he's putting up 100 yards or making a crazy important catch like he did against the Raiders down the sideline, or just opening up plays for Dalton Schultz to have a nice 15-yard catch, or Jaden Higgins to have a nice reception. Nico Collins is going to allow for this offense to have some sort of success. When I look at the Chargers, tell me one playmaker they have. Eli McConkey? No, he's not good. And he's not going to do anything against Lassiter or Jaden Petrie. Derek Stinley is going to be locking up Quentin Johnson. Like, that's the playmaker in my mind. That's a big play threat on the Chargers, in my opinion. But I don't see him doing anything against Derek Stinley. Keenan Allen he was a fun story early on. He's still a nice component to this team. It's cool seeing him back with the Chargers. He's always been a Chargers guy. But he's getting like 40 yards a game, 30 yards a game. He's nothing incredible for this team in the running back room, maybe that's what they can do. Try and run the ball. Try and run the ball. Try and run the ball. Just come on, ham it, ham it, ham it down. But as we know, Houston, they are just very vigilant at not letting the run do anything against them. They have a great front seven. Their linebackers are all willing and wanting tacklers. D'Amico Ryans has those guys coached up and ready to go. And I'm going Houston to win this game. It's going to be a low scoring affair, obviously. Watch it not be. Watch it be like a shootout. But I'm going a low scoring affair. Houston's going to be covering that plus 1.5 spread against the Chargers. I'm going to go the Texans win this game 16-13. Let me know what you guys think. Is that going to be the final score? If not, what will it be? Who's going to cover? Who's going to win? Who's going to win the AFC West? Who's going to win the AFC South? Let me know what you guys want to listen to. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, comment, and subscribe.